Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Patrice Roberts, and today I have a very simple and delicious pizza roll recipe for you. We are going to be making my all-time favorite pizza roll recipe. You can actually make this ahead of time and put it in the fridge and simply take them out for about 30 to 20 minutes so they can rise and then put them in the oven. So this is something you could do ahead of time, whether for a party. You can also make these pizza rolls with your family or children. It is very fun. Okay, so everything will be down in the description box below. I'll also leave two links, one for my pizza sauce and one for my pizza dough. So you can have everything that you need to make this recipe. Also, do not limit yourself to only cheese or pepperoni. You could use anything for this recipe. It tastes just as amazing. You could use seafood. You could also use the vegetables if you're a vegetarian. And of course, you could use any type of meat that you like. So grab whatever you need and let's get into the video. I promise you'll never need another pizza roll recipe. You could also keep them in the fridge and heat them up whenever you desire. This is all the ingredients you'll be needing today. This is my pizza dough. The recipe will be linked in the description box. You'll be needing 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. You could shred it yourself or get a bag of cheese, that's fine. You'll be using 2 tablespoons of melted butter or margarine, quarter cup of flour for dusting later on. You'll also need 60 grams of pepperoni. Any meat kind you like is totally fine. You'll need half cup of my pizza sauce recipe. This recipe will also be linked in the description box below. And then you'll need 40 grams of ham. Again, you could use the shrimp, anything that you desire. I'll be using half teaspoon of granulated onions and half teaspoon of granulated garlic and 1 tablespoon of parsley. You'll also be needing 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, kitchen string or twine, and you'll be needing a measuring tape, minimum 20 inches because we are going to be measuring the dough. So we need everything to be accurate so they bake on time and evenly. You'll be needing a brush and baking dishes. This is totally up to you what baking dish you'd like to use, but this is what I'm using today. You'll begin by mixing together the herbs and the melted butter. We are going to set this aside and save it for later. Then we're going to flour our surface. Make sure you add enough flour because the dough is very moist and you do not want it to stick to your surface. So we're going to lay our dough on this floured surface and then we're going to add more flour on top and more on the rolling pin of your choice. We do not want the dough to stick to the bottom because then your dough can mess up and you'd have to start all over again. So make sure everywhere has flour. You could always dust off excess flour if necessary, but you cannot remove the dough from your rolling pin and it do not have deformation. So make sure everywhere is floured. You can see that I'm always adding flour to my dough. We're going to roll this dough into a rectangle. We need it to be 20 inches long and 12 inches wide. This doesn't have to be perfect, but we just need the measurements to be accurate. So keep flouring your dough and roll it out until you get 20 inches. This is what we need the measuring tape for. We need to make sure that everything is uniform so they bake evenly in the oven and at the same time. So we're just going to use the measuring tape and measure now. This is 20 inches, which is perfect. And then we need it 12 inches wide. This is 13 inches, so I'm just going to pull the dough together to get 12 inches because we are going to still be needing to measure everything 20 by 12. You could also make this shorter, but it is totally up to you. We are going to create a thinner layer of sauce on the pizza dough. You can use more sauce if you'd like, but I think a half cup of my pizza sauce recipe is perfectly fine. So we're going to create a nice thin surface and leave in about 1 inch at the border without sauce because when we want to close the dough later on, if sauce is on the border, it will not close properly and all the fillings can leak out of the dough. We want to make sure that everything is rolled properly and perfect. We're then going to add the 2 cups of shredded cheese. You could add about a half cup more if you like, but I think 2 cups is fine. But it is totally up to you and your preference. So just make sure everywhere has some cheese and then we're going to move on to adding the toppings. First we're starting with the pepperoni and then we're going to add the ham. Just make sure we distribute that evenly so everywhere would have a bit for when you're biting in. everyone will get some pepperoni, some ham, and of course some cheese. So we are going to move on to the ham, and then we're going to start rolling the dough tightly. You can also make this pizza however you desire. You can add in vegetables, you can add in shrimp, you can add any seafood that you desire. It's totally up to you on what you like. So we're going to fold the dough tightly. As you can see, I'm literally folding the dough onto itself and making sure that it is very tight. We do not want the dough to open up in the oven. They will look a bit messy. We want everything to be uniformed and tight, okay? So make sure you pull the dough back and then fold it tightly onto each other. When you're finished rolling, we are going to start pinching the dough together. This is why we left about an inch without sauce, because closing the dough like this would not be possible, okay? Some of the filling will come off, so this is why we left some space on each side. So we're just going to make sure everything is pinched tightly again, because we do not want it to open in the oven. And then we're just going to roll it together so that it be a little bit more uniformed. We are going to cut the edges of the dough. This is why we needed the string. It makes everything so much more cleaner than using a knife. So if you can see now, we're just making sure that everything is even. The middle tends to be a lot more thicker than the edges, so we're just going to make everything even. We're aiming for 20 inches and then we're going to mark that off. We're going to take the string, put it under the dough and cut. Can you see how clean this cut is? You will not be able to get that from a knife, whether it's serrated or not. So we're just going to continue. You can see how I tighten it after every one, because we need this to be very tight to get a clean cut. We're going to take our baking dishes and oil them lightly. We're not using butter because butter tends to burn a little bit faster than oil. So we're just oiling them and then we're going to layer them in the pan. We are going to put 6 in one and 2 in the other. You could actually put more in the pan, but I find they will be too crowded and they will not bake evenly. So we need to give them a little bit more room, okay? But it's totally up to you. All 8 could actually fit in one pan, but we need to give them some space so that they bake properly. So this is the part where we add in the herb butter mixture on every inch of these rolls. They add so much flavor and shine to the dough when they come out. These dough will be pale in color regardless when you take them off, but the melted butter just add a little bit more color and also flavor. So we're just going to make sure that everyone gets some of this melted butter, and then we're going to add them in the oven at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for about 18 to 20 minutes. Then we're going to remove them from the oven and we're going to add the Parmesan cheese on top and then put them back to bake for about 5 minutes. The Parmesan cheese burns a bit faster, so this is why we'll only add them for about 5 minutes so we get a little color, but it is not burnt. They do not need to proof for a second time. They can go in the oven straight after this. Where the butter is on, you'll see how beautiful they look already. I couldn't wait to eat them, but we have to wait, guys. So just wait about 20 minutes and then you'll be fine to eat them. So we're going to place them in the oven. Keep a lookout on them because your oven may vary in temperatures, but we do not want them burnt. Just have a little bit more color and then back in the oven to finish off for about 5 minutes, and then you can dig in. If you like what you see so far, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a lot more videos coming up very soon, so turn on that post notification bell so you do not miss my next upload. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this recipe and make it for your family and friends.